Hey, it's Billy Corinne here, and I'm super excited to sit down with Stephani this afternoon. How are you, Stephani?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Stephani is a wellness advocate and massage therapist, and she is my massage therapist, and she is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So we're here today to talk about self-love, self-care, all those little daily rituals, and all that fun stuff. So
hmm
So we were talking right before we hit record, and you were telling me your history with, being witchy, and you mentioned that you really didn't get into your witchy side until you had started your own company, which is
Yeah,
BeautyMark.
right.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what brought you to the witchy side?
Well, I've always been intrigued, even as a little girl. I remember playing that during imagination, and uh, and we had a playhouse, and I remember collecting things and liking little
Mhm.
glass bottles and, um, you know, dead things, herbs
You might
and
be a witch
flowers
if you
and stuff.
collect dead things. Yes.
Maybe, right? Rocks, crystals, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And but being brought up in a religious family, a lot of people probably might suppress that in fear, shame. Um, so I was kind of then I like feel like I got scared of that side of me.
Mhm.
And then I got older, and you start becoming your own person, and not really. To 20s is usually you do care what people think about you, but I think you really start hearing what's calling you and stuff. And then it wasn't probably until I was like 27, I was like, ooh, I really like crystals and this, and I'm really feeling this. And but then that's also when I got interested in holistic approaches and how similar a holistic lifestyle is to a green witch.
Right.
So I was like, ooh, it's clicking for me, and I like this. I can do this. And it wasn't until I was an independent massage therapist. When I was working in another spa, I don't feel like I was tapping into people's energy or the aura and stuff like
Mhm.
that until I had my own space. And I felt a lot more comfortable, and it was more personal.
Mhm.
And then it just became, I met Mish with Politics of Purple. I remember walking to her store and just feeling like I've kind of known her.
Mhm.
And she sent me on my way with some goodies that day. I probably bought some like Palo Santo and like a custom oil blend or something like that. uh
That's so funny. I totally forgot that's how we met, was through her.
oh yeah, okay, you were in the
Yeah.
store with Jet, I believe. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just helped me so much with my spirituality and my health, my own health and wellness, and connection to God or source, whatever you want to call it. It's just moving to me, I love it. And when
Yeah.
I meet people that vibe in that same weird way, I'm like, oh, you're one of us.
Right. So in your massage practice, do you
Mm.
feel like that's kind of the crowd that you attract for the most part? Yeah.
Very much so. I almost got chills, but like a lot of intuitive clients and people that are just a little bit more highly vibrational
Yeah. I mean,
and conscious.
I love walking into your shop.
Mm.
It's so comforting. It's like it instantly is just like puts me in that relaxed state, and I can't wait to lay down and you get your hands on me.
Yeah.
It is such a relaxing place. Like I just
Yeah.
love it so much. I've had a lot of massages over the years. I mean, it's something that I used to do at least once a month for years, and um, like until I went to you, I was never like fully satisfied though. It was like it
Mm.
was a whole different experience. And I would like, I mean, you know that. I tell you all the time that you've got magical hands, and yeah, but you have created such a warm, inviting place. So tell me a little bit about like your self-care rituals, and you're a wellness advocate. So speak to us. Tell me
Mm.
some things.
So first thing is I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have a rising ritual.
Mm-hmm.
There's something so magic about the morning. And if you get up before the sun, even better, because my ritual starts out like this. I wake up, I'll take some deep breaths. And honestly, like I've just started really doing this since like COVID, since
Mm-hmm.
being at home and being like really being with myself. I'm like found these tools of like, what am I going to need to do? But so going to bed early helps me get up early. I have to have my alone time. I have 2 kids, 12-year-old son, 5-year-old, well, 6 and 13 now. Ugh. And I've got to get a couple hours before they're up. Asking myself what I need. What do I need today, Steph? And okay, you can do that and that and that. No, not that. Then I'll go and I'll do something that's like for my hygiene, which would be scrape my tongue. I'm super into detox. Always ridding this body of the accumulation of toxins and chemicals that we consciously or unconsciously put into our body.
Mm-hmm.
I like to scrape my tongue, rinse my face, make a beverage, like a hot, like if I decide not to do coffee, which I've tried to cut back, especially if I'm going to meditate, I'll do more like a tea or my Sheila tea, so which is like a mineral supplement that's high in fulvic acid and zinc and all these other wonderful things. Put a little honey, cayenne, turmeric. Those are anti-inflammatory properties. Maybe get back into bed or get on my mat. Start with like some breath work, movement, self-pleasure, masturbate. I think a day goes a lot better for me if I release and I'm able to have an orgasm on my own and just,
Yeah. Great way to start the day.
So it is. It really is. And very thankful for my connection to my sensuality and being able to just hopefully encourage others to connect with that also. You can do a lot of healing, and there's a lot of trauma that's held and stored in the womb space. So I love womb work. Hopefully I can get better in that kind of stuff, just more experience. So slow and steady, just still, slow and steady. Then I'll do some journaling, perhaps some gratitude again, and then I'll start with my to-dos for the day. Get movement, sweat, again with detox. And then kind of think about what I'm going to eat that day, try and have that all ready so that I can try to be more mindful about the things I eat. Usually I don't though, and I wait too long and I end up hungry, and then I grab something not also healthy, but we're humans, we have to make, there has to be space for mistakes. So I get dressed by then. Kids are usually getting up by then. Sometimes also like if like in the morning ritual, if I didn't masturbate or self-massage or something, I may do something like dry brush, which is just great for the lymphatic system. A natural exfoliation for the body wakes the nervous system up. Maybe mirror work if I'm feeling called to do that, like I'm like not feeling confident, so I might incorporate that to my getting ready, like as I'm putting on some mascara,
right,
or straightening my hair or something. Affirmations.
Yeah. So your morning ritual is about 2 hours from the time you get out of bed till, okay. So I don't have 2 hours. What can I do? Like, what is the one thing you would recommend doing upon rising to really help?
Take 3 deep belly breaths. Wake with the breath, feel the breath, connect with the body. That one first thing is really finding out what you're calling, what's calling you, what you really need. And giving it to yourself, and almost like a reward is how I do my things.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
So that would be pretty much the first thing, that or self-pleasure. And if you're not feeling that, the dry brush is huge. And rinse and wash, like a meditation shower.
Gotcha.
Meditation shower is pretty quick. The dry brush or journaling helps me.
For sure. So I'm big on keeping everything simple. I mean, and none of these things are difficult on their own. But you know, for somebody who doesn't already have like a morning ritual in place, you know, so to start small. So like waking up and taking those deep breaths, centering ourselves, just really like feeling ourselves and being in that moment and listening to what we need that day.
Yeah.
A great
Tapping
start.
into that intuition and really taking it slow on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We can put a lot of pressure on what this perfect rising ritual might look like or something.
Right.
But I feel like, or maybe just pull a card, maybe do those breaths.
Mm-hmm.
And because I mean, we wake up and we go to something else. So I guess my best advice would be to sit with yourself for a second, and to not distract ourselves with our phone, emails, the life.
Right.
But be selfish in the morning, set your alarm and just dedicate 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And just starting small, baby steps. Oh, like pulling a card or just some little affirmations or something.
Okay. Do you regularly do affirmations?
Yes, I've gotten in a habit of needing them. I have like a different app on my phone that sends me one like every hour.
Do you ever write your own?
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes that's like, I feel like I see what I need when I'm writing those, you know, I'm like confidence, strength, rest. And it's like, oh girl.
Yeah.
But
so I use affirmations specifically like for the things that I do need. Like I have a journal, and this is something I do in the evening, like before bed, where so like this month, whatever it is that I'm currently needing, like, you know, I have peace, I am kind, I am full of love, you know, whatever it is that is really lacking or I'm really needing to get better with, you know, I write that affirmation out, and every night before bed, I write that same sentence, and I always make it one sentence. I always make it super simple. And then like, you know, within the month or sometimes a little longer, like I'm already seeing that improvement.
And they can be like as cheesy or as cliche too. I feel like when I first started with affirmations, like I was like, this is not something I would be doing. But then it became like a medicine for me, and like my own personal psychologist. Is something as simple as like, I choose happiness and health.
Definitely.
And then I came back to that when I'm like wanting Taco Bell or something. I was like,
It was so funny. I remember the first time I started using affirmations, I was probably 15. And I remember the first one that I wrote, and it's so funny because it wasn't even like something that I needed to change, but my walk to the bus stop before school in the morning, it was always dark and the cars never stopped at a stop sign. I almost got hit by a car multiple times. And like that first affirmation was like, I am safe. I can walk in peace. And it was crazy to me because like it wasn't something that I needed to change. Like it wasn't me driving like an idiot, you know, but that protection, you know, became a thing. And it was like, oh, I now can walk in peace. And, you know, I wasn't scared to be hit by that car. So that was really cool at such an early age to like see an immediate result from that.
And then your ancestors or angels or whatever, you know, they know.
Yeah, they know. Like, right. Yeah, it was fantastic. So it, you know, I've been huge on affirmations since then.
Love them. And you can get cool cards and stuff like that. There's decks with affirmations and stuff like that. That's a nice treat to do something like that if you need a little enforcement.
Definitely. So we've got the morning ritual, the waking up, getting our day started right. What do you do before bed?
Usually before bed, I like to try and be off of social media and the internet and all the virtual world by about 8:30. I'd like to get that down to earlier. So all these rules I do for my, but recap the day. I've started working like more journaling. Usually it was just morning, but I like to maybe jot some stuff down at night if something was really exciting that day. I have this Calm app, so I like to do like just an easy meditation and follow a little app on my phone.
Yeah.
A good evening sometimes is just spent like outside watching the sun go down, barefoot, grounding, connecting back to nature, and just coming back to affirmations like all day. But have a nice, like, especially now it's so hot, a nice cold refreshing beverage. Sitting outside, sunsets have been gorgeous the past couple weeks. Watching my kids usually drive each other crazy. Baths, like if we're talking about a long day, like a bath, because mamas like to go in the bathroom and lock the door and just like leave it alone, headphones. So I would say at night for self-care, I like doing like that grounding stuff, whether it's just being outside in my yard barefoot or a nice refreshing beverage, just cooling down, coming down, and listening to peaceful sounds and daydreaming.
Awesome. So obviously you're attracting the people you want to work with in your business, but how are you protecting yourself from other people's energies? Like, what does that look like? Because
that can look like a lot of cord cutting, like all day. A lot of releasing specific people. So what I like to do if I'm feeling really heavy, after coming out of a service or something, another coach shared with me this, just to like an aura exercise, a cleanse. Well, you just kind of do this. You're just swinging your arms around here, and just like 5 minutes. It's actually a really long time, but you can go as fast or slow as you want, and it's just kind of like knocking any of that stagnant, stuck energy off. And with peace, just letting that go. Maybe burning an incense or something. I'll do some smudge around the body. Cold water on the hands, wash it off. Just a lot of meditative visualizing, letting go and ridding negative, unwanted energies from the field, which I love it, but it can get exhausting. And I could see how if I wasn't, and sometimes I don't always remember, and I'll get home and I bring this, just maybe like extremely exhausted or something, and it's like, I only did one service today. Why do I feel like this? And it's just like, oh, I didn't shake it off. I didn't pray or do whatever, just those neat little things.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. I mean, back to your practice. I mean, I just adore your place. What do you guys do there, like, regularly to cleanse the place? Make it feel so warm and inviting.
Well, I love using essential oils. So I don't know if you're familiar, I think you are, with thieves. Young Living does a thieves. So constantly diffusing that as of late. Also, there's a floor wash that I make with the thieves. I like also sweet, like just putting intention to just cleaning the whole home and making it like even if it's a floor wash, putting in like a little manifestation into the concoction. But yeah, sweeping everything out the door. Smoke again, incense, sage. And I've been very on the Palo Santo. I was a huge Palo Santo burner, and like, so it's like endangered apparently or something like that, and not really ethically harvested and stuff. And I'm just over it. And I'm like, can't do anything right. But so yeah, I am looking for, if anyone knows, an ethically sourced of Palo Santo. In the meantime, there's sage everywhere here in Texas, wild sage, and that works just as well. So smoke, floor wash, burning oils like lemon, eucalyptus, cinnamon, even like some sound, like clapping in the corners, speaking into the home, like bringing in that energy and intention again of, ridding and what you're working with, and just feeling it out.
Definitely.
movement, getting a lot of movement going, setting up fans, opening the doors, opening windows, and crystals. We have selenite all over the place, and black tourmaline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So how do you teach your kids self-wellness, and how do your children fit into this lifestyle?
So if anything that I hope and that they've been taking on, as I've caught, that they take a breath before we make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we take those nice breaths before we wake up in the morning, is coming back to, because I don't know, I'm always like, oh, she's hangry, she's hungry. As a mom, I automatically go to like, oh, she's cranky, she must be hungry. And it's like, that's not always the case. I need to get to the root of this and communicate, talk, patience, and counting to 10, affirmations. Eleanor does more affirmations than my oldest. He's too cool, I guess, being almost a teenager.
Of course.
If anything, I just feel, I don't know, that hopefully they're just a little more aware of their own energy, and just, I think right now the most important thing is that we're staying calm and being loving to each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's a quick way I can get to it, is just, are we coming from a place of love? Kids, guys, come on. Because and so that patience, man. My mama needs it too, and so just the communicating with them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I share more with my children than a normal mom. I don't know. I don't know. They're my little creatures, so.
Little creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Do you guys have any like daily rituals or weekly, monthly, like anything that's like super special that
we get in nature quite a bit? So probably just a lot of grounding, just being outside in the mud.
Yeah. Creatures
the dirt.
in the mud.
Yeah. Just turning the screens off. And as far as rituals, no, but that's a great thing that I'd be open to doing. I'm sure my son would love to burn some things, so maybe we can do some, releasing.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody loves to burn things. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely try to incorporate my children, or incorporate magic in our households, on a daily basis. And I know I talked with somebody earlier today, and it was more of like magic in her household was just second nature, just as common as washing your hands after going to the restroom kind of practice. And I loved that. I wish I could say that mine was that much, but not quite. I definitely have to be more intentional. And that's really just because I'm lazy and I get lazy, and, it's like you said, like at the end of the day, especially, I'm just done with everything. Like I don't have time for anymore. I just want to do nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a little bit of some Reiki work with my son. So like he's familiar with those, the chakras and stuff like that, which maybe not a lot of 12-year-old boys are, so he knows a lot about alternative wellness, right? I guess.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And he loves that. He'll come to me and he's like, Mom, can you do some Reiki on me? I'm like, okay, yeah. So, he likes having the crystals put on him on those certain centers. And that's the one thing I did remember. I can look at that as a ritual.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and,
Reiki.
And he likes burning things. So we have burned like sage together, cleansing the house together. So I guess I do a little bit, but not as much as
you do. You probably you're not thinking about it in those terms because it's just everyday life,
Right.
We have a family altar that really, you could look at it and it would probably just look like a nature table, just full of, whatever
But you
trinket.
guys change it out through the
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
So you do
We
that together.
definitely change it out. I mean, we burn incense every day.
Mm.
Candles, the kids take turn picking the scent and all those things.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So, and like, yeah, we do those things every day. So, there is magic and there is that, like connectedness with nature and, the energy and Reiki. I remember my oldest son's first Reiki session. He would have been probably right around 13 when he had his first session, and he was so like, do I really have to do this? And I was
Oh, yeah.
here's the deal. Like, I'm not going to make you continue to do it, but I really think this would be very beneficial right now. And, I would really like you to do this. Think of it like going to the doctor. You're going to have work done on you. You're going to feel better. And so he did the session reluctantly, and it was a distance session. So he went in his room, closed the door, listened to the session, and he came out, was like, "Oh my gosh, that was the coolest thing ever."
That's awesome.
So that was fun.
Kids these days I don't know, they're rushed, I feel like, to grow up and figure out what they want to do. And I mean, especially if they're in the system, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, in my personal opinion, that it's still, Reiki is looked at as, I mean, I think it's coming around, it's made a lot of progress, but
Mhm.
um your average teenagers wouldn't openly tell their friends they got Reiki,
Oh, right.
like,
Absolutely.
so I think it's really cool that we can change that, you know,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just create more conscious kiddos.
Definitely.
Mm.
That's awesome. So anything else that you wanted to share with wellness, or what you had in mind?
I think right now, more than anything, I want, me, myself included, uh, for us to have a strong, close connection with our intuition. If anything doesn't feel right, to just not make a decision right away. Um, to stay in our heart and our intuition, get the fuck out of our head,
Mm-hmm.
because there's not a lot of productivity that comes from our mind. I mean, it sounds crazy, but getting back into our bodies, really feeling into our bodies, it will tell us what we need, and just keeping it functioning as best as we can, and just starting small, like, not put so much pressure on ourselves, leave room for mistakes, but getting that connection with our intuition and leading, like, from our hearts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so quick question. I don't know how much time you have today, so I don't know if this is possible today or maybe another time before the weekend. Would you be interested in a separate session on just masturbation?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, folks, coming up, we will be talking with Stephani some more on masturbation. Well, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. I will post your website and all your social media and everything in the show notes so everybody can find you. Thanks for joining
Oh, thank you for having me. I feel honored.
me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.